friends. Welcome to Race to Rise podcast, a place where we discuss bite-sized wisdom nuggets with easy-to-follow practices to live a better life. I am your host, Mital Patel, a parenting junkie, Ayurveda enthusiast, and an advocate of conscious living. Anger is bad. I was hurt by angry people. Girls don't yell, scream, or fight. It's not feminine. Angry people end up in bad relationships. Angry people are bad people. You must learn how to control your anger. Have you heard all these lines? Certainly, I have. I have actually been labeled as an angry person, as a bossy person. What does this tell you? This probably tells you that anger is bad, right? But what if I tell you that anger is a healthy emotion? What if I tell you that anger is must emotion because it can act as a catalyst in your transformational journey? Would you agree? Normally, we're all scared of anger due to its explosive, volcanic, and seemingly destructive nature. Yet, I want to say anger is healthy. It can actually signal a perceived threat to a personal safety, be it physical, emotional, or mental. And that's why we're scared of anger. So today, I want to share this anatomy of anger and some elements about anger. And there's so much that I want to share about anger. But let's step back a little. So I have this habit of asking my now 11-year-old about, about my bad qualities. And so basically I ask for a feedback, a constructive feedback, to, I guess, my child. Because kids are really, really naive and they would tell you the truth. And that's what you really want to know, right? So I asked my son about one bad quality that he thinks I really, really would benefit if I work on it. And so he said, one of the things, Mama, I feel would really help you is your crankiness after work. So I get called out for losing my marble a few times a week, I would say. And so he says, around during your periods, you're always cranky, which is about 15 days a month. And that made me think a little that yes, I have so many. And so why do we get angry? Like there's so much that we need to look into it. There is a denial. There are so many triggers. And yet we're not doing anything about those triggers. So I really wanted to take this as a constructive feedback. And I was working on it. And I've had some great, great responses. And I have been able to be, I have been mindful about it. And so, again, I'm sharing this because I want you all to know that conscious parenting is not about being a perfect parent. It's about being, that imperfectly conscious parent. Because we all know it is not possible to be conscious 24/7 when you have a toddler and when you have an older child, when you're working on your passion, but you're also working, also have an 8 to 5 job, and you also have your house chores and your other duties. It is just not possible. Okay? As a human, not possible. So that's why personal development, and that's why personal journeys, and that's why this is an conscious parenting it's about a journey. It's about the practices. It's about the commitment to do the hard work, to heal our inner child, to reparent ourselves. And that's what I am doing. And that's why I wanted to share this, that I am not perfect. I'm working on myself. I'm work in progress. And I want to be real with you. So I really took this as, as a challenge, and I wanted to work on. So I decided to work with Dr. Shefali and learn about, and I took one of her courses. And one of the profound thing that I learned from her about anger was anatomy of anger, where she literally helped us dissect it down. And one thing that she said, and it just so stuck with me, and I feel it's so true, that we all think that, of course, because that's what society told us, that anger is bad. And so we all think that I really want to get rid of the anger, and I don't want to be angry anymore. And, or maybe maximum we go for like, how can I manage my anger? But she said it's not about getting rid of the anger, because there's no such thing as getting rid of the anger. It's an emotion. Right? It's an emotion. You cannot get rid of it. It's gonna come up on the surface as soon as you get triggered. Rather, it's about transcending that emotion and transforming it into a better version of yourself. So, anger, like I said earlier, anger can be a catalyst for us to transform that emotion and respond. And how can this be done? So I want to share 5 steps that I learned from Dr. Shefali. And it's all about dissecting the pattern and understanding. First of all, we really need to understand what this anger is about, right? What is this, and what happens? So, as a scientist, I really believe in the dissecting and anatomy of it. So, first of all, step 1 is all about understanding that there are 3 elements that are so crucial in this path of transformation. First is it's about self-awareness. We really need to be aware of our anger. We really need to look into the mirror, take the responsibility, and own it and accept it that I see this emotion as a negative. Now, I'm not saying that we need to label it, because most of the time we say, I am angry, I have anger issues, we're labeling ourselves as I am angry. It's not me. I am not angry, because I am pure awareness. I am the consciousness. I am that divine being. I am not angry. Anger is that emotion that I'm seeing it. I am absorbing. I am not absorbing. I am observing it. Anger is like those clouds that you see in the sky. It's moving. It's there. I see it. If I can do something about it, let me do it. Or let this shall also pass. Right? But no, we want to do something about it. So first of all, we need to be self-aware. And we need to self-regulate. Right? We really need to learn the tools to handle the anger in the moment. It's about handling it in the moment, in the heat of the moment. And learn not to project it to another party, not to project it to our kids or our spouse or anyone. So it's all about learning to shush down that inner critic and inner perfectionist, which I have, I have failed to shush it down for many times before, but now I'm learning it and I'm doing much better job at it. And it's also all about self-transformation. It's about transforming that anger into the connection, to connection with ourselves and connection with our children or our spouse or whoever, is around us or whoever we're trying to connect with. It's about learning to set better boundaries. And it's about using the creativity in transforming the anger. So these are the 3 elements that are so crucial on this path. Second step is understanding that anger is complex. Okay? It is complex. Here, we really need to understand that anger can be bimodal. It can be physical or it could be emotional. So we need to find out when we get angry, how does this get out of me? Am I a hitter or am I a yeller? Or am I both? No judgment here, just asking ourselves, how does anger show up in my body? Do I hit or do I yell? And I'm talking in this language because, as a conscious parent, as a parent, this is what comes. And so I am talking in that relationship with parent-child. So how does this come across? Another thing that we wanna understand is anger is bi-directional. For some people, when they get angry, it goes inward, and you just you go inside. And for some people, it goes outside. It's outward. So, are you the one who goes in, or are you the one who goes out? So find out. And then it's that it affects different people differently. So some people may get reactionary on the external level, and some people can get reactionary on the internal level. But both project this anger onto the weaker others. So it's so complex, and there's so much that we need to understand. So just ask yourself, main thing, how do you react when you get angry? Do you go inward or do you go outward? Third step is how just a split of a second can make a difference. So for example, when we enter the house with an agenda or with an expectation and the fantasy that as soon as I get home, I will be able to change and have a sip of warm tea and relax a little bit before I get in the kitchen and cook dinner. But when you come home, instead of that fantasy, all you get is the child who does not meet the agenda or the fantasy that you have had in your mind. What happens then? We lose it, right? And our love converts to anger in that split of a second. So that other has total control over our emotions. And so we really need to understand how this can this trigger, because we walked in with an expectations, and when our expectations are not met, when the reality is totally different, that's when this whole split second can play a huge role. So the triggers. The fourth step is all about intention versus the expectations versus the outcome. So we all know, as a parent, when we go home, we have like pure intention, always positive, but we have these expectations that are really unexpected. Like you go home expecting that your home is clean, or your child is just sitting by themselves reading a book, or you get to have that is so unrealistic. When you go home, your child hasn't seen you all day. What happens? They just want to tell you the story, or you just hear, you have two like mine, you hear them crying and fighting and coming to you complaining that this did this to them, or the other one did this, or they ripped my paper, or they touched my stuff, right? So our expectations just are so unexpected. And the third is, at the end, the outcome is just negative, because by that point, we've lost it. We lost our marbles. It's about it's about checking, or it's about knowing that, of course, I know my intentions are pure, but what about my expectations? Am I expecting too much? And so where's that? What's that leading to? What is that giving me? Right? So when we expect for a control, then we realize how controlling we are. And step 5 is that we really need to learn to mind the gap. And the gap stands for greater awareness of pausing. Really need to understand and learn the art of pausing before responding. So to recap, these were the 5 steps of the anatomy of anger was the three elements that are crucial for this path was self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-transformation. Number 2, understanding that anger is complex. Number 3, understanding that split, right? When the love converts to anger in a split of a second. Number 4, it's about the intention versus the expectations versus the outcome. And number 5, really learn to mind the gap, the greater awareness of pausing. So, my friends, again, anger is not bad. Anger is healthy catalyst that can help us transform. Anger doesn't need to be managed. It needs to be understood and transformed. So, let's transform. That's it for this week's episode of Race to Rise. Be sure to sign up to our email list at risewithmittal.com and join us again next time for more wisdom about life, kids, and everything in between. I am Mittal Patel, wishing you happy raising and rising.